It's about Vinny and the boys and how they started from nothing, turned it into all of this.
That's how the Entourage movie ended, with Maverick director Billy Walsh bringing the whole franchise full circle by pitching an idea the gang quickly molds a TV show that sounds a lot like Entourage.
Dumbest idea I've ever heard.
It was the last time we ever saw Vince, E, Turtle, Drama, and Ari Gold, which was apparently fine with just about everyone. Because after it was all over, Entourage, once one of the hottest shows on television and an inescapable part of pop culture for years, mysteriously disappeared. But before we start unraveling that mystery, why not take a moment to subscribe to the Nerdstalgic channel? Entourage debuted on HBO in July of 2004. The show followed fictional movie star Vincent Chase, played by Adrian Grenier. Vince lived and worked in Hollywood along with his older brother Johnny, played by Kevin Dillon, and his two childhood best friends E, played by Kevin Connolly, and Turtle, played by Jerry Ferrara. Rounding up the main cast was Vince's slick but manic cutthroat agent Ari Gold, memorably played by Jeremy Piven.
You wanna hug it out?
No, not really.
Let's hug it out, bitch.
Loosely based on the experiences of creator and executive producer Mark Wahlberg and some of his friends, Entourage was, at one level, about the camaraderie that holds four friends together in a land of endless temptations and pitfalls. It was Vince and his boys just trying to take care of each other in the wild world of Hollywood, and the chemistry between the four main actors gave their little found family a surprising amount of heart.
I don't know how things could get much better.
But at another level, Entourage was really the ultimate wish fulfillment fantasy for bros. It was a show about living in Hollywood with your best buddies, one of whom is a movie star who can open all doors for you. The boys spent most of their time lounging around gorgeous mansions, mixing it up with the world's most beautiful women, and throwing back at mind-blowing parties. They were also constantly hobnobbing with famous people who actually played themselves in what amounted to well over 100 celebrity cameos over the course of the series. Entourage was a huge hit, and although it's generally agreed the quality took a bit of a dive in the later part of the run, critics, for the most part, liked it throughout the majority of its lifespan. Its popularity earned it an impressive 8 seasons, as well as 6 Primetime Emmys, including 3 consecutive Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series wins for Piven. Ari Gold's "Let's hug it out, bitch" became a legitimately recognizable catchphrase, and the show was undeniably a part of the zeitgeist.
And you can hug it out, bitch.
It's possible that if Entourage just rode off into the sunset and didn't press its luck, its place in pop culture could look very different right now. But 4 years after the series wrapped up, the cast and creators reunited to make what would be a theatrically released Entourage feature film. This would prove to be a huge mistake at several levels. Creatively speaking, the movie was a bit of a mess. In an effort to make the characters more closely resemble themselves at the height of the show's popularity, the script quickly rolled back all the growth the gang experienced over the course of the run, and undid most of the resolution in the fairly well-regarded finale episode. This was all accomplished in the first 10 minutes of the film via a fairly graceless info dump.
Who throws a party when his wife leaves him on their honeymoon?
Vince does.
And what followed ultimately amounted to little more than a 90-minute episode of the show. And despite being even more packed with celebrity cameos than the show was, the Entourage movie failed to click with general audiences. Critics didn't think much of it either, with most agreeing in one way or another that it just didn't capture the magic of the show. The film flopped at the box office, and its failure killed whatever enthusiasm was left for the franchise. But as if being a creative, critical, and box office flop wasn't bad enough, the Entourage movie accidentally sparked a critical and popular reevaluation of the show, and the new prevailing take was, as they say, not good.
Oh my fucking god!
The movie and the franchise in general found itself facing charges of misogyny, homophobia, and casual racism. Critics accused it of celebrating toxic masculinity and rape culture, while at the same time mocking it for its crassness and immaturity.
Friends are girls you just haven't daddy, you know that.
When these sorts of reevaluations happen, it's often a sign all wasn't well in the first place. And indeed, Entourage certainly faced criticisms along these same lines during the height of its run on television. But the voices that were once drowned out by popular acclaim were now redefining the conversation around the show. With few fans still enthusiastic enough to defend it after the movie, Entourage took a reputational beating. After that, it was just kind of forgotten about. And given its lack of presence in pop culture today, a person could truly be forgiven for forgetting the series ever existed. Series creator Doug Ellen, for his part, has consistently defended the show. In a 2021 interview, he said that he was proud of the work he did on the show, and he didn't think Entourage was this vulgar boy fest that people like to paint it as now. But in the same interview, Ellen also accused HBO of deliberately hiding Entourage by failing to promote it as much as the other successful series in its archives. It's a difficult claim to evaluate, but even if it's true, it's a pretty understandable move on HBO's part. The controversies surrounding Entourage have undoubtedly affected its rewatchability among former fans, as well as its likelihood of picking up new ones. And it's a major problem for the series because without HBO's promotion, there don't seem to be a lot of ways people are likely to discover it.
Oh, refund their money. They already saw half the movie. F that.
Since Entourage ended, none of its four main stars, Grenier, Connolly, Dillon, or Ferrara, have gone on to do anything high profile. Unlike contemporary comedies like The Office or Parks and Recreation, Entourage didn't produce any comedy superstars. In fact, although the four found success in other ventures, none of them ever even scored big on television again. And to be clear, this is no slight to them personally, or to their ability as actors. Careers in Hollywood slow down or change course for all sorts of reasons. But for the show, it means there's no mass media out there reminding people about Vinny Chase and his boys and getting audiences nostalgic to hang out with them again and relive their screwball adventures in Hollywood. Entourage's breakout star and big award winner Jeremy Piven hasn't been much of a help in that department either. Already a Hollywood veteran when the show began, Piven was recognizable to audiences for movies like PCU, Old School, and Grosse Point Blank.
10 years, man! 10 years!
But despite all the Emmys for his performance as Ari Gold, he hasn't done much of note since. That's mostly because starting in 2017, the actor faced a series of allegations from different women accusing him of sexual assault and predatory or otherwise inappropriate behavior. Piven denied the allegations, but CBS still pulled the plug on the series he was starring in for them, and it's easy to imagine why audiences might not be in a hurry to check out his past work.
No, don't fire.
All right, well, I'll just sexually harass her until she quits.
And for those who do manage to discover or rediscover the series, it is, in many respects, a very strange ride. The version of the movie industry it depicts, which once felt so relevant and incendiary, is now a quaint and charming snapshot of a world long gone. And the references and cameos that once made Entourage feel so hip now often make it feel amusingly dated. Not to mention that the context around some of those cameoing celebrities has changed pretty severely. Seeing Vinny and the gang share the screen with now controversial and or disgraced public figures like Kanye West and Armie Hammer can be incredibly awkward to watch, and arguably validates some of the other criticisms about the series.
What's wrong with you, Chase? Are you retarded or something?
In any case, it's not hard to imagine why there hasn't been much word of mouth surrounding the once popular show. But at the end of the day, Entourage was easiest to forget because, while the show created an engrossing world that gave way to a host of interesting dramatic situations, it rarely did anything all that interesting or dramatic with them. By which we mean, Entourage definitely had a shallow charm, but it never really had a lot to say about anything. Despite all this, pretty much all the key members of the Entourage cast are on the record stating they'd be up for reprising their roles under the right conditions. And Doug Ellen has also expressed a desire to return to the characters and their world. But they all also seem to agree that rebooting the series would require the involvement of Mark Wahlberg, and his optimism towards the whole thing seems, well, more restrained. As recently as May of 2023, Wahlberg was on the record saying he supported the idea of a reboot, but he didn't know if it would really ever happen. As that weak show of support might lead you to believe, he also reportedly isn't doing much to pursue it. In an interview given in the same month, Jeremy Piven implied the Boogie Nights star wasn't actually moving the project forward in any substantive way, and given all the show's baggage, it's easy to imagine why. So, what do you think? Were you a fan of Entourage? And if so, how often do you still think about the show? Let us know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely find others you like if you check out the rest of the channel. As always, thank you for subscribing to Nerdstalgic.